ukulin. It's a fairly new instrument invented in the U.S. in the early 1920s, but it's had a hard life from the very start. Hi, I'm Hans Manship, your host for Musical Minutes. Let's delve into this hybrid instrument.
The ukulin is a stringed musical instrument made popular in the United States in the 1920s. It's a bowed psaltery zither hybrid, combining features of the violin, ukulele, and the zither. With 16 bowed melody strings and 16 plucked chord strings arranged in four groups, ukulins are played on a table. One hand bows the melody and the other hand strums the chords. Ukulins are tuned to C major but are unable to play chromatic notes and therefore offer limited playing. They use numbered strings and tab-style notations for non-music readers. It was invented and mass-marketed in the U.S. between the 1920s and the 1960s. It was promoted as an easy home instrument. In the early 1900s, novelty home instruments had become popular in the U.S., setting the stage for the ukulin. Yet the instrument had a shady life from the beginning. In 1923, the first known ukulin type patent was filed. By 1924 and 25, additional patents were filed. In 1926, Phonoharp merged with Oscar Schmidt Incorporated, who became the major ukulele manufacturer. Because three different inventors filed similar design patents, one after the other, it's unclear who invented the first ukulele. In the 1920s and 30s, ukulins were sold door to door, often to rural families on installment plans. They were marketed as easy to play, though that was misleading. In the 1940s and into the mid-60s, Oscar Schmidt continued production. Instruments were often made from scrap woods left over from their autoharp production. But here's their downfall. Ukulins were sold as a self-teaching instrument, but difficulty led to widespread frustration and returns. The salesman would purchase the instruments from the company and then sell them at inflated prices, often on a payment plan and a minimal down payment. These prices increased as the economy grew stronger after the Depression. Salesmen often claimed the ukulele was discounted from music store prices, yet no evidence exists that music stores ever sold them. They usually sold for around $35. The instruments were quite limited as to what they could play. As a result, many instruments were returned to the manufacturers before they were completely paid for. The companies ended up with piles of instruments they could not sell. The salesman had misrepresented them to customers who felt they had been tricked into buying a worthless instrument. Oscar Schmidt, Inc.'s new owner discovered the shady business practices of some of his salesmen. So in 1964, the company stopped producing the ukulele. Because of this nationwide downward trend, and due to the advent of television as a form of family entertainment, other manufacturers also halted production soon after. Ukuleles largely disappeared from the market. The Smithsonian notes they frequently turned up in attics and thrift stores.
mistreated and misunderstood. Now a collector's piece. Join me next time when we'll examine another interesting instrument man has made in his love of God's creation, music. Blessings.